hiking, and he heard snoring. And so he went over and looked, and there was a bush, and there was a bear sleeping. And he had the good idea that he'd pet it. And so he did. So he snuck up, and he did it like just a couple little soft pets, and then he thought, maybe this is not the best idea. And so his safety mode kicked in, and so he backed away, but it could have turned out much differently. So don't pet bears.
I just wanted to follow up on the Sarah story that was started here with Catriona at Herring Cove. So while my name is Susan Doherty, I'm the general manager for SRAA, Southern Southeast Regional Aquaculture Association. Lyle and several of the other old timers started the PMP here, SRAA. Lyle served on the board, the executive committee, was a secretary for I don't know how long. We didn't keep very good records about board meetings back then, so the earliest I can tell is that his first meeting was in 1977. He spent more than 22 years on the SRAA board. And that was the first hatchery out at Herring Cove. We now have 7 hatcheries and 7 remote release sites. And you've heard about Lyle's personal contributions to helping people individually, but through his work at SRAA and his dedication, his contributions are going to continue for generations. Lyle and several others, they created an economy that now generates more than $70 million annually to coastal communities. He touched the lives of people then, he's touching them now, and he will far into the future with the economy and the creation of private nonprofits and SRAA. And we're just thankful for his contribution and the sacrifices that his family made for the time he allowed to be at SRAA for those over 22 years. And just that those efforts will resonate forever. And so just extremely grateful to his contribution. Thank you.
So Susan was just talking about SRAA, and I know most of you know what that is here in the room. But when I was young and my dad was in many of those meetings, he wouldn't come home for dinner, and Mom would say, well, he's at a SRAA meeting. And I was like, well, who's SRAA? So it was, I think I was probably in middle school till I really realized what SRAA was. And of course, we're immensely proud of our dad's contributions to the fishing industry here in the state of Alaska.
He was having an affair with salmon. Anybody else want to speak or make a comment?
We will.
Our cousin Bill Pfeifer.
Kim probably covered a whole heck of a lot of what I probably would have said too, but I'll just give you some examples. My name is Bill Pfeifer. My mother and Olga's mother are sisters. And my grandfather had 14 kids. So my mother and Olga, as she was one of the youngest, happened to be the same age. So Olga and Lyle were like aunt and uncle to me because of the difference, but we're cousins. The earliest memories I remember, and we have a picture somewhere, Olga and Lyle would come up and visit my mother, and Olga would, or Lyle was in service at the time, and he brought up a little uniform for me as a little kid. So somewhere we got a picture of him in his uniform, and I'm in my uniform, a little So that's all I always remember. We moved to Ketchikan. A lot of stuff in between, but when we moved to Ketchikan, with 5 children ultimately, and because what you said, maybe you say things before they are gone, I also want to say that both Olga and Lyle served somewhat as grandparents. And this goes to the caring that they both had. And so when we got up here, I'd go out fishing with Lyle and his boat. He'd take me places, show me all the things, and everything was detailed. We'd get on the boat. Okay, here's how you turn on the gas. Here's how. So you went through the gamut of everything. So in case something happened, he had you fall on the gamut. And then we would head off someplace or out to shack, and he'd have a million stories, but he would always give you an example and explain why. And I remember coming back, we were heading across, and waves were just eating us up. And well, we're going to head down outside of Gravina. I said, why are we heading down the outside of Gravina? He said, well, we're going to beat ourselves to death this way, or we just get the waves on our stern. We'll actually get back quicker because we'll go around the end of Gravina, going with the waves, and come back on the inside. And so that's what we did. He ultimately got me a boat, and as him and the kids all said, he said, this is how you do it, and oh, you're going to need this, you're going to need this, backup parts of this, and this, and this. So I had no room for groceries on the boat because I had backup parts. But they came in handy. Yeah, Lyle was always, he was an expert, and I'd say, well, you go in there and say, I got this problem, I think this is what it is, and oh, no, here's what you need, and he'd lay it out and stuff, and hey, come back, oh, here's a tool, you're gonna need this tool to do this and stuff, so he was just a wealth of information and saved the day immensely, and just can't say enough about Olga and Lyle and what they mean to our family.
Baby one, two.
That's it.
Anybody else? No? Okay, then. Oh, there goes Michelle.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dyakanoff, and my son is 26 now, but I remember going to Surprise Beach, which was a little tiny beach next to the boat ramp out south, because my little boy's favorite thing in the world was knowing everything there was to know about sea life. So he and I were out there one time when he was about 5, and we had our dog, and there were these 2 nice people out there on the beach, and we didn't know what something was, and this nice man came over, and he told us everything there was to know about anything we could find. Well, that was the day I met Lyle and Olga. And I didn't know that many years later, their daughter Jen and I would become best friends, and that we would figure out who each other were. Later, their family, I didn't have immediate family in town, and they would invite us for everything, because that's what they did. And in 2014, we had been looking for a boat for about a year, and we had 3 picked out down south that we were going to go look at. And I had talked with Lyle about them, and I went over to his house and I had the computer and I was showing him each of the boats that we were considering. And he helped me make this very long list of questions to ask when we went to see each of the boats. And I didn't know that much about boats. My husband knew a lot more than I did, and Lyle, of course, knew everything. But so we left on this trip with this awesome list of questions, some of them which I didn't even understand. And we found the boat we wanted. And I was just like checking my list, and I would ask another question. And the guy was looking at me, and Lyle had said, if you really want to get them, ask them if her through holes have been replaced. I had no idea what through holes were, but I just said, so have her through holes been replaced? And the guy looks at me, and he looks at John, and he said, she knows a lot more about boats than she thinks she does. Not true. Anyway, we decided we liked this boat. And we leave, and we need time to think. We have to decide how much to offer. So we go across the parking lot to a restaurant, and I call Lyle. I said, Lyle, we really like her. And he goes, well, make him a really lowball offer. And I was like, no, are you sure? Because they'll say no, and then we won't get it. And he goes, nah, just he made a suggestion of what to offer. So we went in and offered it, and we got the boat. And he was so kind to spend hours with me in support of this endeavor. And there is one more little story. It's really important to me. I hope you'll put up with it. Jen and I were doing something together, and Lyle was in town, and there was a fire out south in Saxman, and so they blocked the whole highway. So all three of us are stuck on this side for hours because it's a big fire and the whole road is blocked. So somehow Jen and Lyle and I were in my car together, and we went to dinner, and I had to parallel park. All right, you already heard the driving stories. Lyle gave me a compliment, and I had no idea how important that compliment was, but later Jen says, my dad said you were really good at parallel parking. You have no idea what that means. So it's been such a joy to hear everybody else's stories. Some of them I already knew, and others I just felt privileged to hear. And I want to thank everybody else who shared too. Thanks.
As a follow-up to what Bill said, we were so thrilled to have Chelsea and Garrett move back with their kids to town. We love having them at the house. And if you don't know, I bought Mom and Dad's house, which was our grandparents' house, and Mom and Dad lived, and Mom still lives with us. So it's a big family, and we love making the family bigger when they come. But you know who really, really loved it? And that was Dad. He would get tired, and Mom would say to him, you want to go to sleep, Lyle? And no. If the Hoponskis were still there, he'd say, no, I want to sit and listen. And this Christmas, before he passed, obviously, since he passed in January, the grandkids were there and were playing games, and it was the same thing. He didn't want to go to bed. He just wanted to sit and listen. And even though he was quiet, he really, really loved having family, and he really, really loved having the chaos. He, as he was passing, and he passed at home, he did make the comment to me, it's too quiet. It was one of the last things he said. And so we had to invite everybody into his room, and we all sat together and we played his horrible music, Sloan Whitman, and others, and then we told jokes and just laughed, and it was and just had actually a wonderful time together. But we kept the noise going for him because he really, really loved being surrounded by people he loved. Is there anybody else? You can. Catriona's my daughter, if you don't know.
Hi, I'm Catriona. I'm the youngest granddaughter of Lyle and Olga. Yes. this is story only happened only a couple months before Lyle passed away, Papa. So it starts like beginning of last summer. I was going camping with some friends and I can't find my guy cotton sweatpants. Women's extra small guy cotton sweatpants.
Extra small.
Women's extra small. Nowhere to be found. What am I gonna do? Okay, whatever. My mom's are a little bigger, but they'll work, so I borrow hers. Anyways, fall comes around and I see my Papa walking around the house wearing a pair of guy cottons. And I didn't know he had a pair of guy cottons. I was really confused. So I asked my grandma and she was like, he doesn't have a pair of guy cottons. So we checked. He's wearing a pair of women's extra small guy cottons. And I don't know how he got them on. The waistband was literally like popping open. But, that's probably my favorite memory of my grandpa. It was really funny. He was confused. He was like, are these not mine? He was like, they were in my closet, so now I'm wearing them. Obviously somebody messed up the laundry, but yeah. That's it. Thought I'd share that.
I feel like if Hamlin doesn't like take over the mic, then
Right.
it would be for long.
That's right. So this is Mindy, Dick's daughter.
You guys are doing a lovely job. I know how hard it is to say goodbye to someone so special. And I was many years old when I realized that Olga and Lyle was two names and not one. I thought it was Olga and Lyle. I thought that was one name. But if my dad were here, we would all be here until it got dark. All of his stories, who I feel like my dad is the greatest storyteller in the world, or was, and they all had Lyle in them. We just had I just had my 30th reunion here, and I was explaining to someone what it means to grow up with the same people. Like, it's different if you don't grow up in a small town, because you don't go to elementary school and, marry your high school sweetheart, and you have a different relationship because friends are like family. And my dad loved telling his stories, and while he was maybe a lot louder than Lyle, and the storyteller of the group, like Lyle was always the strong backbone and the sidekick that went with him and made his life so amazing, and my dad thinks he had the most amazing life ever. And when he tells his stories or told his stories, and we have lots of recordings of the stories, and Lyle was always there, he would end up with, "Man, those were the best days of my life." And I'm like, "All those years before you had kids?" And he's like, "Yeah!" And I'd be like, "Dad, I'm right here." And he was like, "But they were, did I tell you the one about when Lyle and I went?" Yeah, and then we had 4 more hours, so. Lyle was like family members to us too, and we can imagine what you guys are going through, but thank you for this lovely presentation.
Anybody else?
Sort of go.
What's that?
This is a Hamlin sort of thing.
Oh, good. A Hamlin story.
Well, sort of.
Because
Is it about Bigfoot?
no, it's not.
This is, everything goes full circle here. So growing up, Dick Hamlin was constantly over the house, and he managed when Pam was out of town. It was always around dinner time, amazingly. So he could eat there, but everything goes full circle because all 3 Hamlin children are within range of my age, and interestingly enough, Penny Lynn and I ended up teaching at the same school, and then we ended up relegated to the basement together, and we would just consistently have conversations about our dads, because for some of the things, and they were not bad boys, but they were really naughty, and they would make really unwise decisions together and do things that I'm pretty sure that's why their parents' hair turned white early, and getting all sorts of doing things they really shouldn't be doing, stealing things, going and picking up people. Dick was the one that went in to get my dad when my mom went into preterm labor with Kim, And everything goes full circle because Penny and I really miss you, by the way, because you retired on me. But we had a better ability of really understanding both of our dads and their stories, and then we got to be together. And it's pretty special knowing and hearing consistently the relationships. And then and Dick wasn't just friends with my dad, he was friends with my mom too, and that made for a really hard year in algebra because my mom's really smart, and all three Simpson girls should be getting that concept much more quickly because they have a smart mom. And it was some of the best things is I knew some of the background of stories, and you could always get Dick distracted if you add a little tidbit in there and then it ended up a different Lyle story. But everything goes full circle. I'm glad to see so many people that I love here. I would say about the best people have shown up. And that's a testament to my dad. And I know you love him as much as we do. And you'll miss him as much. And thank you so much for coming.